everyone, welcome to Pour Painting with Ron. I hope you've been well since the last time we saw each other. Anyway, today I thought I'd be doing a painting that I haven't done in ages and ages, and that's a ring pour. And I've had a customer request to do one for them, so I'm going to attempt to video it today. They wanted one that I'd done earlier, but on a larger canvas. So I'll have a go today at recreating this particular ring pour. So the canvas I'm using today is this huge 60 centimeter by 60 centimeter thick edge canvas. And like I usually do, I've taped off the back and I have put in some giant push pins to raise it off the surface of the table. Now the colours I'm going to be using today in my giant ring pour are really bright. I'm using Mont Marte colours mostly and some Extreme Sheen colours. So I'm using some magenta and some, what's this one, purple, some turquoise and some lovely gold. And then I'm using a little bit of white as well, just to lighten things up a little bit. Now I'm also using some Extreme Sheen metallics. They create a lovely effect in paintings. They also react with the paints to create interesting cells and pearls and things. So today I'm going to be using some amethyst to go with my purple, some rose quartz to go with magenta, and some aquamarine to go with the turquoise. So they should look really nice together, hopefully. Now the Mont Marte paints I mixed 1-to-1 with paint and Floetrol. The Extreme Sheen paints are reasonably thin, so I didn't quite use 1-to-1. I used a little bit more paint than Floetrol. I also put a little bit of water in the paint just to make it the consistency that I wanted. You'll see what that consistency is in a little bit. Now I mixed up about 250 grams of each colour and 40 grams of the Extreme Sheen, which should be plenty to do my painting today. You don't want to put too much on the canvas, otherwise you have to tip too much off to get the rings that you want today, because you want to stretch it reasonably well to get the effects that you want. But anyway, let's get started. Righto, here we are with all my colours mixed up. My camera's a little bit further back than I usually have it, so my apologies if everything looks a little bit little today, but I hope you can still see what I'm doing. These are my metallics. A little bit goes a long way with those. My colours, I'll show you the consistency. They are reasonably thick, so if I dribble the paint off the spoon, I get like quite a large mound of paint, and if I do a little twirly shape, the paint stays on there 3 or 4 seconds. You don't want it too thin, otherwise the colours all blend together when you make your ring pour and you don't see the rings. The gold I've kept a little bit thicker. The gold tends to disappear. It still may disappear, but we'll see how we go. Alright, so I'll just put these colours aside. And I'll show you the cup I'm using today. It's a large one. I don't like using multiple cups for ring pours. So the bigger the canvas is, the larger the cup needs to be. I'll bring in the canvas. Hopefully you can see it. I'll just go around to the camera to see if you can see it or not. Yes, you can. I can even put it back just a touch. Alright, now I've made sure it's level so the paint doesn't run off. If you haven't invested in this yet, just get one of these little levelers from the hardware store and you just put it around the sides of your canvas just to make sure that it's level, because the last thing you want is your paint running off one side as it dries. Alright, I've got my table level, so usually it's good and I don't have to adjust my push pins at all. It usually works fine. Alright, now just put this canvas aside and we'll put the paints in. This is just a milkshake jug, nice and big for a canvas of this size. Alright, now I'm going to start off with some magenta and gold in the bottom. That's what I did last time, so I should do that again. I'll pour some magenta in this side. And I'll put in some gold in the other side. And then I will drizzle some turquoise over the top. Hard to get a layer because it like drops in from such a height. I may have to dribble down the side. And then I might put in a little bit of white. Don't like how it dribbles, I'll put it down the sides, I think. Now put in some purple. I hope I haven't ruined it by dripping it in like that. I'll put in some of my metallic. Let me see. Then I will put in some magenta again. And some gold. I'll do some turquoise. I'll do some of the rose quartz. And some purple. Some white. I'll just keep doing it until my cup is full. Oh. Some of the magenta. I'll do some gold. Ooh, almost knocked it over. That would have been a disaster. Some gold from this side. Bit of white. I do want to use my metallics. A little bit of magenta. And here a touch. I'll do some of this. I'll just use up the rest of this. What will I finish off with? Maybe, oh, I haven't used heaps of this. Doesn't really matter too much what I put here. I may end up tipping most of it off. Okay, that's really full. Right, I do have quite a bit of paint left over, so I may do a small painting when I'm done. All right, wipe my gloves, painted those. Bring in my canvas. Okay, now I'm going to do some rings and then I'll finish off with a wiggle pour in the middle. If you're not familiar with what that is, you will soon see. Okay, oh, scary. I'll do some big rings. And then I'll go back to the middle. And I hope this cup was big enough. Okay, caught the little drip. Now, I'll just give it a bit of a torch. Pop the air bubbles. Are a couple of enormous air bubbles that I'll just pop with a skewer. That one, that'll do. Right. Now, fingers crossed I have enough paint. Okay, now you don't have to do this too fast. See where your paint is going. Okay, now let's go to that side. I'll bring it back to the middle. Then I'll go to this side. Bring it back to the middle. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. I'll go to this side. I'll bring it back to the middle. Go to this side. Now the corners are tricky. I'll bring it back to the middle. move the paint over to that corner. Okay, I'll bring it back to the middle. Watch where my paint is going. Over the corner. Sorry if you can't see this, I'm just bringing the paint back to the middle. And then I'll go down to the bottom corner. Well, it's very bright. Just bring it back to the middle. And then we'll go down to this corner. I sort of lost my center. Okay, hopefully all my sides are covered. I'll just bring it back to the middle. Yeah, painted my arm. Okay. Well, my center completely disappeared. It's still pretty though. I'll just get my rag and clean my arm off and my gloves. Well, it's certainly very pretty. Lots of interesting shapes and designs in that one. Ooh. Now I'll just go around and cover the corners and just pick up a bit of paint that's dripped off and just dribble it on the corners. Oh no, I need more of the purple. That's that corner and that one. We need a little bit on this one. Yes, the corners are always the hardest to do. Okay, I'll give it a little bit of a torch, I think. Don't know where my centre went to. I'm a bit disappointed with that. The colours are lovely. We're getting a few pearls, not many, but a few pearls from the Extreme Sheen metallics. A fly buzzing around. I hope it doesn't land in my painting before I cover it over. Anyway, I'll just tidy up the edges, get rid of the drips. Just running my palette knife along the bottom edge. Not sure if you can see some of the patterns, but I'll bring you in for a closer look in a little bit. And then you can see some of these patterns that have appeared in the painting. Now I didn't tip much paint off. I could have used a bit more paint perhaps, so I could have played with my composition a bit, but that's all I could fit in my cup. Yes, if you don't get the drips off, they tend to pull the paint off the canvas, and they also look ugly when they dry. You've got all these dry bits of dry drips of paint dangling off the edges of your painting. There's that fly again. Yes, I had a fly swimming in a painting the other day. Fortunately, it didn't ruin the painting, because it was one of these really busy paintings and you didn't really notice, but I don't really want a fly landing in it. So you may need to go around a couple of times to get all the drips off. Don't think I've done this side at all yet. No, I haven't. It's a bit of a trick to get the right amount of paint. If you don't have enough, you just overstretch everything. But if you have too much, you can't stretch it enough without losing lots and lots of paint over the side. Okay, I think I'm just about, oh, the fly almost landed in it. I think I'm just about done. And I'll bring you in for a closer look. So here we are. I'll just hold the camera above my head. Hopefully you can see that painting. So I'll bring you down. We can see some of just the lovely patterns in this painting. Oh, I can't get all the way up to that end. Now I think somewhere here is where the centre used to be. But I think what happened was the Extreme Sheen paints are really thin, and they ran over the top of the other colours. That's my thinking anyway. So, what did you think of that one? As you could see, my wild throwing of the paint on the canvas ended up with a rather wild looking painting. I think it's really interesting. There's plenty to look at in this painting. If you want something a bit more controlled, you can just do sort of careful little rings in the centre and keep doing rings until you run out of paint. Or you can do the wiggle pour continuously from the centre, and then you get something that's a little bit more controlled. Or you can do wild like I did. Well, I hope it's given you some inspiration anyway today, and maybe it's something you'd like to give a go yourself. Well, as always, if you enjoyed what you saw today, please take a moment to press the like button, and if you'd like to see more of my content, please take a moment to subscribe. So I hope you have a really great week ahead, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. In the meantime, happy painting!